Guys, let's give Dean Akers of Adjunct CEO a nice round of applause.
Give me 1 second so you got it on.
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
How's everybody doing? Before we get started, I was sitting up front and was visiting. You got to turn me on or something?
Just a mic is out of place.
Story of my life.
All right. There you go.
I was sitting here up front when we first started, and one of my dear friends walked in, Miss Forbes Riley. Where is she? She there? Oh, there she is. Do y'all know Forbes? She's iconic in the shopping world and the infomercial world. If you get a chance at the end to say hello to her, she's just got a ton of energy. She's one of the hottest millennial women I know at 25. And that's why she came tonight, to learn about selling with millennials. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about the art of selling millennials. That's what everybody thinks, right? I'm going to share with you some interesting stuff. We're going to talk about generations. And the reason I'm going to talk about generations, I spend a lot of time, I just turned 65, I spend a lot of time with CEOs of large companies, and everybody talks about generations. They talk about the millennials and the snowflakes and the this and the that, and they kind of forget some of the things we did, like smoke pot at the University of Florida in the plaza, or march for the Vietnam War and get thrown in jail. You know, so they forget a lot of things that we did. So we're going to talk about generations tonight. And then I want to talk about the outside influence impact. We've got a lot to cover, so I'm going to hit it. If you have any interest of any of these things to go deeper, just get with Chris. And I told Chris I'd volunteer to come do a workshop isolated on one of the topics if at least 5 or 6 of y'all want to get together. Because this stuff is dear to me. I've come out of retirement 4 times. I've retired 4 times, and my passion is what I'm doing right now, is standing in front of people, helping them grow and make better decisions. I have 5 sons, so I got a good little group of minions that I keep up with from 35 down to 21, and I'm coaching them all the time, but I only coach them if they ask. And what's been a big thing for me over the last number of years is they ask. And I've got some great success stories. I'm going to share those tonight with those guys. And then the hyper sales growth technique, we're going to run real quick through that. This has never failed any of my companies in any industry I've been in, period. What's the operative word? Never. 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 Ever failed. Never. And I'm working with about 3 or 4 companies right now, and guess what's happening? They're seeing some crazy sales because now they're deploying this as a course of business. So I'll share some of that with you. I lost because of price. Really? How many of you have ever said that to yourself? Come on, but now how many of y'all lying? You know. But people sit there and they lose deals because of price, or they say they lose it because of price. We're going to talk briefly about that. And then we're going to talk about the Trojan Horse theory. This is something that I deployed years ago. It has become kind of a real edge that I would share with each of you, that it's something you want to ask yourself. So when I go into companies, my own companies, I go, where's our Trojan Horse? And people look at me like I'm on drugs or something. You know, what are you talking about, our Trojan Horse? We're going to talk about that. So our goal tonight is what? Read it out, somebody. I want you to walk out of here tonight, get in your car, and have one idea that you really take away. How many times do you go to events and you talk to people or you hear this stuff and you go, wow, that was so cool, and then you walk out and what happens? Nothing. I want you to walk out with one that helps you. If it does, you can email me. I'd be glad to give you my card. It's very important to me. That's why I go out and do this. So, what is your biggest challenge? Give me a couple challenges out there.
Getting the word out.
Getting what? What?
Getting the word out.
Which word?
About your product.
Okay, getting out in front of customers. Anybody else?
Getting employees for construction business.
See, I had a big construction company. And my construction company, everybody told me that. And I had people waiting in line every day to go to work for my company. And I'll share. Huh? I'm going to share with you one thing because this is a break because he mentioned this. This wasn't in the program. How many of you today, how large is your construction company?
I'm just starting.
Okay. How many of you today give every single one of your employees a business card? Show of hands. I do. When I had my construction company, I had 300 workers in my construction company. Guys that didn't even speak English. Guess how many got a business card? All of them. Guess what they said when I handed them a box of 500 business cards? Oh, they started crying, some of them. I had guys that have been in construction for 35 years, and they go, nobody has ever thought of me enough to give me my own business card. They took pride. They gave it out to everybody. When they gave it to inspectors, they took ownership for $10. And I have people going, how do you get employees motivated? Are you kidding me? By caring about them. They got business cards. They love their business cards. Try getting business cards. I did it with a crane company. We had a crane company. We're unionized. Everybody goes, well, we're unionized. I said, we've been unionized for 60 years. We have people who've been with the company 40 years. They work for us and with us. We got them business cards for our company. They were like, wow. They go on a job. Who's seeing the customer? The crane guy. He's giving a business card. Say, you need anything, you call me. If you need anything, I'll help you. So when people, and then I always had in my construction company, back to this quick diversion we've taken, because this is passionate too. In my construction company, the reason I had people waiting in the lobby to go to work for me any day I wanted them to is because I figured something out. All the guys that run backhoes, they've been running backhoes for years. They work for every company. They drink at the same bars. They shoot pool at the same bars. So what happens when they're in that bar shooting pool and everybody goes, oh, my boss is an idiot. You know, they don't get it. They go, my boss bought me 500 business cards. My boss has a breakfast once a quarter that we meet on Saturdays. We don't have to go, but he shares the vision of the company every quarter. He shares the financials to all of us. He will give them to us, the whole paper financial. And they can take it home and give it to whoever. They can give it to competitors. I don't care. So, another quick, well, wait a minute, we're not going to do more challenges. If I get off, does a business card deal make sense? Yes. Does it make sense? Yes. Now y'all can go home and go, I'm not doing that. That's like $10. $10. You know, I give secretaries of companies I've had a business card. They go, why do I need a business card? Because you're special. You represent us everywhere. Wow, nobody's ever given me a business card. I've been in the business 35 years. So here's my rules. This is my rule in every company I have, every consultative arrangement I have, and I'll make it the same rule tonight. All of you are entitled to your own opinions. Fair enough? Everybody agree? Nobody is entitled to their own facts. Fair enough? Because I'll get in these debates with my own company, and my guys will come in and they go, blah, 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 blah. And I said, what are the facts? Well, he was stupid. Okay, what's stupid? Did you give him an IQ test and he was like an 80 IQ? Well, no, he's just stupid. Okay, what is stupid? I know some really stupid people. What is stupid? Have you ever had that? The guy's a jerk. The customer's a jerk. Okay, what's a jerk? I saw the movie The Jerk. Does he walk down the road like this? I don't know. What's a jerk? What's a jerk? Is that a fact? Is your jerk different than your jerk? Probably. So at any rate, we want to be fact-based. We always want to be fact-based. Who, what, and about the generations. This is one of the coolest things. And when you talk about millennials, we're going to talk a little bit about what I know with the millennials, because I have 5 of them. I have 5 sons, and they're all millennials. We're going to talk about the generations, though. I think it's important because it's not just about the millennials. There's some interesting facts, and these are facts that are making a big impact on all businesses. All businesses. And if you're a business owner and you're aware of them, you can maximize on them. If you're a business owner and you avoid them, they will affect you. I promise you. They will. So, this is the birth rates. Now, how I got turned on to this, I had a company called Ideal Image. We did laser hair removal. And when we did laser hair removal, we were sitting there and we were looking at whether we did med spa, and we had the whole injectables and all that. And I said, nope, we're going to do hair removal because it's a different market. It was from 25 to 40, and the injectables was 40 to 55, and then facelift and blah, blah, blah. So they were different markets. To reach a 45-year-old woman was different than reaching a 30-year-old woman, in where they listened to radios, everything they had. And this is not totally before social media, pretty much. So some of the cool things. This is your baby boomers right here. The baby boomers are call it 80 million strong. The baby boomers, you can look, they're age 61 to that's supposed to be 71 to 59. That's Mr. Dean's typo. This group up here, this is the peak up here, which is that. So the baby boomers have been strolling through the economy. They've been strolling through the economy. Every segment in the economy that they've impacted has been highly prosperous. Every segment. Then you have the people that ruin the deal, the Gen Xers. And the reason I share this is this is not anecdotal. I have watched this segment right here move through the economy, and at every stage in the economy it hits, it devastates. And it doesn't devastate by attitude, because it's just what? Numbers. So what happens is this birth rate down here, this is 40-year-olds right now, early 40-year-olds. That's that bottom right there. Everywhere they've gone, they've decimated the minivan business when they got through there. They decimated the motorcycle industry, the hot rod motorcycles when they came through there 20 years ago. They've decimated different types of restaurant chains. That group, just because there's less of them, really decimate everything they hit. And the key, if you're in business, is to know where you're on in this cycle. If you're here getting all luckied up with all these baby boomers and you're not looking back here, you could have a pretty big impact headed your way. And this is just a fact. I've studied this. In Ideal Image, our top customer was right here. So when the 08 or 07 recession hit, everybody goes, our investor group goes, oh, we're going to die, discretionary income. I said, it'll never matter. And they go, why? I said, because we are 20% growth at the bottom of the birth curve. Guess what we got coming right here? What is that? That would be called a tsunami. We have a tidal wave of people coming into our space. And talk about self-talk at Ideal Image during the recession. Everybody goes, whoa, the economy, look, unemployment's 11%. What are we going to do? Everybody freaking out about self-talk, right? Guess what the highest unemployment rate was for a 25 to 40-year-old female in the height of the recession? 4.1%. Now, anybody that knows economics knows that 4% is considered what? Statistical 100%. So we were freaking out by lack of understanding the what?
Facts.
The facts. Who said that?
I did.
Right on. Guess what happened? Guess what happened when we knew these two facts for Ideal Image? We kept rocking, and the company sold about 4 years later for $175 million. We went through the recession like there was no recession. Everybody goes, oh, how'd you do it? Because we didn't self-talk, and we had the what? The facts. So your baby boomers, they're 53 to 71. I'm a baby boomer, right in the sweet spot. Baby boomers are workaholics. You know, they're really into their things. They're really into to being felt important. They're the us generation. You know, they want to be the you have to agree with them. I mean, I spend half my time dealing with family companies where the dads are just beating up on their kids, and their kids are awesome, but they're not minding me or something. I go, he's a vice president. Shut up. You know, treat him like somebody. And so this is a tough group, and they're moving out fast, folks. They're moving out fast. We're working longer, and the emotions there. I do my condo deal, and I deal with a lot of plus 55 communities down in the lower East Coast, and that's a hoot for me because half of them don't even have internet. So you go down there, I do presentations, 200 people down there, and I go, just look us up, www what? So the baby boomer, we're not going to talk a lot about. Gen Xers. This is the group coming through the pipe right now. This is your leadership starting to emerge. This is going to be your vacuum. So if you're a baby boomer, you really need to start grooming your leadership right now. Today, you need to really start looking at who the stars are. You really need to start mentoring, training. And the biggest problem about this generation, they're highly cynical. So they don't trust. And the reason they don't trust, they grew up in divorced families, they grew up in a lot of different stuff. They're a tough generation. However, when you do engage them and you get them engaged, I don't think you can find anybody better. There's going to be less of them. So you better be, if you're looking at transition in the next 5 to 10 years, you better have your eyes on how you want to transition and how you're going to fit these people in, because they're the next segment of your management. Your millennials. This is my favorite thing. I speak to a bunch of CEO groups. And do y'all think my CEOs are millennials? No. And they're all like, well, you can't even talk to them and blah, blah. They don't even work hard. They don't have a work ethic. And I look at them and I go, are you crazy? Are you crazy? Well, they don't have a work ethic like we do. I said, exactly. They work 10 times harder than we do. They go, well, how do you figure that? I said, first off, at 5 o'clock, we went home. We went home. And when we got home, we had 3 channels, if you live close to Tampa. We didn't have Shopping Network. We had NBC, ABC, and CBS, if you could move the rabbit ears right.
You could get it on your phone?
Yeah, you could. We would go out to dinner. Nobody texted us and said the delivery was late. We had life made. We just like to reflect back and act like how hard we worked. See, when I speak to CEO groups, the thing is I get to pull out my 65-year-old CEO card. Because I've been a CEO a long time. I said, you guys are crazy, and women are crazy that are in this thing. The millennials are the hardest working generation. The difference is they work for purpose. They don't work for hierarchy. They don't like bosses. They work for purpose. They work for purpose. So if you're sitting there as a CEO or running your company and you're not creating purpose, you're probably not going to keep your millennials. And you're certainly not going to get the production out of them. And so they're just an awesome group. I have a great group of millennials that I work with now in a couple of my companies. And I am not the boss. Even though I'm the boss, guess what I am? And guess who I'm referred to? Coach Dean. I'm coaching every one of these folks. In other words, I don't ever sit there. I say, I got to coach you on this. What can I coach you on? We go through books. We give them books. They read a book every 3 weeks. And we report back as a group. And they love it. It's like an energy to them. They get out of bed in the morning and they want to engage. Because guess what we're doing? Purpose. Exactly. Purpose. And everybody goes, you mean purpose like saving the whales? No. Purpose for what you do. I mean, they might have purpose for saving a whale. Don't get me wrong. But it's purpose for what you do. When I had my construction company, when I gave those business cards to 300 employees, pipe crew guys that were down below and stuff, do you think they felt purpose? Yeah. When I'll never forget this. I'll tell this quick story. We had a pipe. I was working a pipe crew for the day. I'm down in the ditch. We're 20 feet deep off of 22nd laying sanitary sewer in the summer with rain. And my guys down there have been doing it 20 years. It's part of what they do. But I'm doing that every 2 weeks. I go work a crew all day as a crew member. So I'm down there and working. And it's about 3 hours in. I'm sweating and everything. And I remember one of my guys, I said, man, this is kind of funny. That guy up on the ditch doesn't know who I am. He looked at me and goes, what are you talking about? He knows who you are. I said, no, he doesn't. He says, there ain't nobody in the ditch with alligator boots and a gold Rolex on. Busted. But long and short of it was, I'm down there and I asked the guys, I said, is there anything we could do better? I said, boss, this is after they're comfortable. They go, we need a pipe puller. I go, pipe puller? What's that do? It's a hydraulic thing. You put it on the end of the pipe, pulls it in faster. I said, what would it do? He said, well, I know we could get 20% more production a day with a pipe puller. really? Well, how much does a pipe puller cost? He says about $1,500. But that's a lot of money. I'm sitting there staring at a backhoe, a $250,000 front end loader, and all this stuff. And so I said, how come they, well, nobody ever listens. I said, I did this. Backhoe came down. I stepped my alligator boots and my gold Rolex in that bucket, went to the top of the hill. He swung me over. I walked over my two foremen. I said, somebody better have a pipe puller back here in about 15 minutes and send them to Granger. So millennials are awesome, and they're the greatest workforce. You guys are going to love working with them. And so what I want to do is share with you some sales facts that apply to all generations. And this is part of it. When people say selling to millennials, this applies to everybody. And I was discussing earlier with, we were talking earlier about this. Will and I were talking about, question, can the economy impact you? Can the economy impact your business? Can competition impact you? Can they? I'm going to tell you my answer. Well, it's not even only if you let them. That's more of a, it's no, they can't. You don't even have to say only if you let them. Can the economy impact you? Can competition impact you? The answer is no. The answer is no. And just to let you know, I've had CEOs look at me, and I'm talking about CEOs running a couple $100 million companies. Well, you don't understand. So then when we start about, remember what our first rule is? Yeah, we go to the facts. And when we get done with the facts, I've never lost a bet. So the biggest challenge in business is what? No, the one in the mirror. The one in the mirror. By the way, today it's unbelievable the facts you can get. If you want, I got some of these. I'll give them to them. This is my $5 solution I started years ago. And I get people and they go, wow, I'll buy that for $5. What is it? And I said, well, look in it. Then they get all pissed off, you know, boo. No. I'm just reporting the news. So here's this hyper sales growth model. This is the one we may do one off later because this can be a deep dive. But this model has never failed. Never failed. I'll give you some stats. When I got to run Lender Machinery in the 80s, we were a $50 million company in the recession of the 80s, which some of y'all may remember was devastating. That's when the whole banking system shut down. And people always, they think ours was bad. Our savings and loans all shut down. I mean, you know, it was like crazy. And in the 80s, I went in and all of our guys, we were 50 million, everybody, blah, 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 blah. And I applied this process there because I had grown up as a salesperson and I applied it personally for me in the worst territory in the whole company and became the top salesperson in the whole company in the worst territory with all the competitors. So I subscribed to this and it's never failed. We grew that company in 2 years to 103 million during the recession, selling construction equipment, which was part of the recession. I did this recently with a company that was part of the construction recession. They went from 52 million, their biggest year ever in their 50-year history, to 32 million. I came in, deployed this with them, and I was CEO for a couple of years to do this. I come in as interim CEO, and I came in, we went from 52 million in the recession deploying this to 54 million to 85 million to 103, and this year they'll do 150 million, and their EBITDA will be greater than their 50-year biggest year previously. And by the way, this is only what? Facts and math. So the three-circle process, if you don't take anything away, this is the easiest thing. This is the one that I humble every CEO with. You take circle one, you put your sales in. You put your sales in, whatever they are, 10 million, 100 million, whatever they are. Then you take circle three and you get the market size. And you get the market size for where you work. So if you're a Pinellas County only company, it doesn't matter what they're doing in Jacksonville. You get your market data. Today you can get it. So you have these two circles. Then, well, what happens then when I ask that question? So you got your sales. Right. You had the market that you guys were talking about, right? And then what was the other question I asked you? How many lost sales did you have? And then what you said was 20%. Yeah. And what did I say to you?
That's horrible.
Did you hear that?
That's horrible.
That's horrible. And he goes, oh, that's horrible. Everybody's bragging. He's the top sales guy. And I know he's a stud sales guy. I can see that. I mean, we were talking about it. Salespeople are like bird dogs. We grew up raising bird dogs, but we didn't have to raise them. The minute they're born, you put them out on the ground, the little puppy, and he runs out, and you put a quail down the road, the old dog goes like this. I don't know how they get that. That's in their what? Genes. Well, salespeople, basically, it's in their genes. The key is teaching them how to point at the right bird and how to not flush and stuff. So circle 1 is your sales. Circle 3 is the market sales. Every CEO wants to debate competition. Then I get circle 2. I say, how many sales did you lose? And at the time, the $32 million company, they were losing about maybe 10 or 20% they could document. But nobody knew that. And that's a fact you need to know. That's a very important take home. So then we went and said, okay, 32 million, we're losing 20%, let's say. That's 6 million. That means we're around, call it 40 million. Let's round it up to 40. We found out that the marketplace was around 350 million documented. We were able to get that through the insurance companies because that's how they write. So it was 350 million in our market, and we were 40 million of it. And everybody goes, well, see, it's competitive. I said, no. We have lost $310 million in sales in the recession. In the recession. These were recession numbers. We lost $350 million in the recession for only one reason. And what was it?
The man in the mirror. The 6 inches between your ears.
But the biggest thing, this is even simpler, believe it or not. This is so simple, it's stupid. And this is why it always works. We weren't even on the deals. The customer didn't dislike us because our equipment was bad. They didn't dislike us because our pizzas were bad. They didn't dislike us because our furniture was too expensive. We did not even what? Yeah. Now, I have 5 sons. I coached all of them in Little League. And I coached them in basketball and baseball. And we found out when we coached in baseball, if they stayed in the dugout, what was their batting average? But what was it? 0. That's your dilemma in sales with Circle 2. So when you own Circle 2, forget about the other 2. I would show Will, I said, I pay my salesmen to lose deals because I know they're like bird dogs. They can't even lose them. The problem is getting them on the covey, so to speak. So I just get them out. When I did that company, I told you we went 32 to 54. I had sales guys been there 20 years. They're like, okay, he's going to pay me commission to lose them. I'll show him. And I said, the deal is when you go out, you give a price and just shut up. I raised the prices 25%. You know why I raised the price 25%? Because I wanted them when they came back and said they lost it because of price, I wanted to have to believe them. I said, so quote 25% higher. And then shut up. And when they came back, they gave me the deal. Said deliver Monday. I go, good, go give me another one. I want to pay lost sales. I couldn't even pay lost sales because that's what they started doing. Getting the sales. Because they were on them. And they weren't worried about price. They were quoting 25% higher because they wanted to prove me wrong. And they shut up. And the customer goes, can you ship Monday? Huge opportunities there. PVs. This is taking all your accounts in your marketplace and ranking them by their potential size. I don't care if they're buying today or buying tomorrow. If you know accounts, you rank them by size. And then you tie your math back to them to see what kind of hours you could work them. My biggest account I ever got was Publix. It took me 18 months. And everybody goes, well, you were patient. I said, no, because I knew when I closed them 18 months later, I'd have a company doing about $5 million in sales with me. And if I took the 18 months of driving around in circles trying to close other people, I could still do that too. But I worked that client to get the deal. And when I got the deal, they paid me a premium over all the national account companies. And that was tires, by the way. So this is a quick overview of this. Through ticks. Ticks is a big deal. Ticks is my favorite thing nowadays. Ticks are where you physically go to customers if you're a B2B business. You go out and you see them. Somebody goes, well, I try to get an appointment. No, don't get an appointment. Go to their office. Walk in and go, hi, I'm Dean from LM. I just want to meet the person that handles all the finances. They look at you like you're on crack. They look at you like, what? And well, he's not in. What's his name? What's Bill Smith? By the way, what's your name? I'm Susie. How long you been here, Susie? Well, I've been here 7 years. What do you know about Susie that's been on the front desk for 7 years? She what?
Does not have a business card.
Well, yeah. Touche. But what from sales? What do you know?
She's a gatekeeper.
She knows everything. She knows who's sleeping with who's drunk at night. She knows everything. She opens the mail. There's nothing she doesn't know about that company. So guess who you're going to learn about that 5 minutes? Susie. You're going to find out how long she's been there, where she grew up, something, and then we're going to go to this. This is what a tick list look like. It's one page. It goes above your thing, and you can see you can put hundreds of counts. And you just put hash marks on them. And at the end of the month, you make 100 ticks, face to face. Doesn't matter you had a quality call. Everybody goes, well, they're not quality calls. I don't care. Just face to face. Because we stumble on deals. We stumble on deals with ticks. So, and then you get accustomed to keeping that annually with your big PVs, and suddenly you get the business. I've never gotten an account that I didn't want. I mean, and I won them all, so I've gotten every account I've gone after. You know, it's really just, this is just what? Math. Just math. Just math. It isn't about, oh, well, we need a new brochure. I'll meet companies and they go, our brochure isn't good enough. I go, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, no, we need a new brochure. Our website's not robust. Blah, 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 blah. This is B2B, by the way. No. You're sitting, we joked about, you're sitting in your cubicle emailing people to try to get appointments. Just go to their frickin' office. We had a salesperson, we were in the IT business. I was trying to buy an IT company. I got him a call. Outback was one of our big customers. Well, you can't get to IT, you can't get to anybody at Outback. Go there. One of my young minions that wax on, wax off. I said, just go there. So he gets to know the front desk. And one day they went in and they took flowers to them because it was whatever holiday. And they go, oh. And he goes, I just want to tell you I appreciate you. Didn't say, can I get? And they go, you know what? You need to meet Liz Smith. Do y'all know who Liz Smith is? Anybody? Who's Liz Smith? CEO of what? Outback. These guys brought him back to meet Liz Smith. Liz Smith goes, wow, spent 30 minutes with him and wrote him a letter in the mail for his tenaciousness and really appreciated him getting to meet him. Was this emails? And they're not setting an appointment with me. I still keep that as a trophy. So customer depth. You need to know 5 people in a big PV, and you want to know everything about them. I keep this. I use a CRM now. You can use Salesforce. I use Pipedrive. I put everything in. I know their birthdays, their anniversary, their kids' names. And with Facebook now, I can stalk them. I can find out their wives' names. I can find out if they're into breast cancer awareness, whatever their hobbies are. And then I start doing, once I know all that, then I start doing unique customer touches. And unique customer touches are books. I send out probably 40 to 50 books a month, and I go to Barnes & Noble. And Barnes & Noble has the books. You buy them for like $5 each. I mean, it's so cheap, it's unbelievable. And I put them in the mail and said, just thinking about you. This happens to be a note back from Alex Sink. Does anybody know Alex Sink? Who's Alex Sink? And her husband was, Bill McBride ran for governor. She wrote me back, thank you for the acknowledgement and reminder of my 30th wedding anniversary. This was a wedding anniversary after Bill had passed. And I sent her something about that. You're the only person, including myself, to remind me of that was special to me. I went up to the mountains in North Carolina. I spent the month of July and build back the memories and blah, blah, blah. Now, if I walk in, I didn't do that and go, Alex never thanked me. Alex never called me up. I promise you, if I was walking a restaurant and Alex Sink is sitting in that corner over there, guess what's going to happen? Oh, she's going to come up. She's going to break through the crowds, which she's done. Now, that's just an example. Once you build these relationships, you have the power. We lost the deal because of price. Man, I hear this from salespeople all the time. Well, it was price. I told you at the crane company we raised the price 25% and stuff. But here's the question I'm going to teach you. This stuff is so valuable. This has never failed me either. If all the prices were the same today, buyer, would you choose us? And then, somebody read that. Now, see, my mom raised me. We were raised here in Tampa. She said, never use the word shut up. It's like not appropriate. In this case, guess what? Shut up. Now, what does shut up mean? Yeah, but how quiet is it? Real quiet. Yeah, you don't sit there and go, so what do you think? If I could do it a little better. You stay shut up. And if you want to, my teams have all mastered this now, the toe tap. They tap the toe 10 times. That's 10 seconds. Try doing that 10 seconds when you go out of here tonight with some customer. Just shut up. And that means when they finish, they're not done. If you'll keep tapping your toe, they will just open up with you. So you want to ask that question. If they say yes, ask why. Whoops, that jumped ahead. We're going to shut up again. But if they say yes, ask why. And they're going to go, yes, I would choose you. Why? I had a customer one time. He goes, and it was West Shore Mall, right over here. West Shore Mall. There were 10 bidders. I was number 3. And it was a group out of Baltimore, Whiting Turner, big construction company. Our team that I acquired had done work for Whiting Turner Malls, down here in Brandon and everything. So they knew all the kind of on the ground guys. So we were in that meeting. This guy from Baltimore goes, and I said, would you choose us and why? Well, first off, he said my price was high and I was only 3rd of 10, but he goes, would you choose us and why? And he goes, well, I don't know. So he asks this guy and he goes, asked the foreman, he goes, yeah, we choose you. And why? Well, because your guys understand sequencing. Your guys don't whistle at the girls when they go in the mall and embarrass them. And the mall owners are real worried about that. They cycle. You've got to keep traffic good, keep the place clean. We know you know that and everything. And so I said, well, then we're doing the deal. And the guy goes, the head guy from Baltimore who'd never met me, or he goes, not so fast. Your price is high. I said, well, if the answer is yes, then why? You told me the reasons. I can't. Now if I don't do the deal, I'm messing you up for all the reasons. So we're going to do a deal. Just tell me where I need to be. Well, I can't do that. That's not the way we work. I said, 1 minute. True story. I hauled buggy out to my Suburban. Back in the day, I drove a Suburban because I was a contractor. And I pulled out who I ever bought for this kind of conversation. Does anybody want to take a guess what it was? Something maybe the millennials haven't seen, but no? Yeah. This is going to crack you up. I pulled out and walked back in and threw down on this big conference table with 12 or 13 people there with a head guy in a suit across from me. A Ouija board. How many of y'all know what a Ouija board is? And I sat there and I said, throw your fingers up here. We're going to figure this deal out. This guy broke up laughing so hard, he took my quote, spun it down the table, and said, write this man a contract. There were still 7 people in the lobby to present their quotes. You think I think that's a powerful question? You want to show up and listen. If they said yes, you're going to figure out how to do the deal. If your customer says yes, you say, we got to do the deal, period. And if they go, well, the price matters, say, look, we're going to do the deal. We may have to sit down and scratch each other up about this and figure it out, but we're going to do the deal because all the reasons you said. If I don't do the deal, I'm leaving you short no matter what the price is. 99.99% of my customers always go, just shut up and get out of here. I'll send you the contract. Because they validated your value by asking them why. Got it? Here's the real killer. This is where I love it. Is if they say no. Because then I look at them, I go, then I wouldn't use us. I can only promise you this, that based on what you, and I ask them, in the other question, I'm asking them why they would choose the other guy. And I go, why would you choose him? And they tell me, I said, all I can promise you today is now I know what to aspire as far as what your expectations are. I said, that means more to me, what you shared with me, so I don't deserve the business today. Because you really should give it to that supplier for the reasons you said. That's the ultimate takeaway. They look at me and go, well, I don't necessarily have to do that. I said, I would. Now, I've gotten 85% of my deals that way. Because I didn't browbeat the competition. How many salespeople go, well, you know, ours is a mil thicker and we deliver fast and all our people are smiley and everything's lovely and we have nothing but a great culture and blah, 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 blah. Everybody's heard that. So we're going to finish up with this. The Trojan Horse. How many of you know what a Trojan Horse is? What's a Trojan Horse?
It's a gift that has something inside that benefits you.
Yeah, back in mythology days, they brought the Trojan horse inside the gate as a gift, and everybody was just enamored that they had this gift they were willing to, because they had beat the other armies, and this was kind of a peace gift. And they came inside the gate, and what happened? Yeah, that night the horse emptied out, took back over. So, do you know what your Trojan horse is? Do you ever go back with your team and say, what's our Trojan horse? I'll give you some examples. My Trojan horses I've had to use. I told you about the tire deal, or I was talking to somebody. When I was in the tire business, we were commercial tire dealers. We were competing against Michelin, Goodyear, all these biggies and everybody. And so I found an error in how air pressures were done all the time with Ryder and all these big companies. So I went in and said, what if you could buy from your current vendor, pay the price you got to pay the price you got to pay, and for free I save you 20% a year. Would you be interested? Well, I had Publix, Ryder, Hurt, everybody bought into it. All companies bought into it. And they go, we don't know how you're going to do it, but you're okay. Well, what was funny was I adjusted the air pressure to the proper air pressure that nobody had, because nobody understood, even my own guys, the dynamics of what air pressure did. And I still even ask this question, what carries the load on a truck? Huh? What? No. The air. Everybody says, oh, the tire does the axle. No. Run a nail through a tire and see how much that tire carries. So it's the air. So when I got it correct, the tires were flat, flat like profile, and the mileage went up no matter what tire they ran. And all of a sudden, my competitors would get all mad because I was telling them how to fleet all these big accounts. Because I'd just do random ones, 5 a week. And it was like statistics, and I built it by math. And I said, the statistics say that Goodyear, who's fleeting you Publix, is costing you about $2.5 million a year right now. Now, we can fix this for them if they'll just tune up. Well, of course, now the fleet managers are all up in their case, and then they finally get, well, you just use him then. If you think you said, oh, well. So that was our Trojan horse there. The Trojan horse at our trampoline rings was dodgeball. We created dodgeball traffic, and what it did is it picked up traffic in the off times, and it got kids engaged to come, not just a one-time visit, not just the, oh, I'm over that, Mom. It got be competitive. We had leagues and stuff, and it grew our business. The crane business, I already told you, we created the Sims 1 minute thing. We did seminars. This is so crazy. We did seminars for safety all across the state, and we invited every contractor. But the key thing to the Trojan horse is we invited our competitors. So here we are feeding this big room in a Holiday Inn, different places, our competitors, and then we have the top safety expert in the United States speaking. And by the way, our insurance company paid for that, so that was free. And they were happy that we were doing education. So we became the go-to people for safety. And with our competitors there, what did that do? That validated us of being of the higher good. El Trojan Horse. So I get a call from the CEO of Florida Power and Light in Jensen Beach. He said, Dean, will you come down and let me introduce you to our 350 folks in the field, and I want you to do some safety stuff for our company. Would you come down and just do safety? Let me think about that. So I go to Florida Power and Light. We were doing a couple $100,000 with them, max. Went down and started doing this. Well, I didn't ever say, oh, our cranes are better. Y'all should call us. We do good cranes. The CEO introduces me to this big amphitheater full of people and said, these are the safety guys. We want to get our safety program. So we started helping all their safety and everything. Did I ever go, hi, I'm from Sims Crane, and we sell cranes and rink cranes? Did I ever say that? Never. I didn't even act like I was from a crane company. They all knew that. You don't think they figured that out when they got my card? But I was of the what? The higher good, exactly. Mr. Dean, higher good. And so what happened is all of a sudden we started doing tens of millions with Florida Power and Light. Go figure. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. That's Trojan Horse. My newest Trojan Horse, which I'm having a blast with, I came in and took over a company called LM Funding, and it's been a challenge. It's the worst brand I've ever had. In fact, I think I'm being punked. I mean, I have customers that physically remove me when I walk up and give them a card. So it's bad. So then I had to figure something out. So here's the Trojan Horse. I started a radio show with no advertising, no nothing, called The Condo Coaches. I do it every week, syndicated across the state of Florida. We Facebook Live it. We've had over 1 million views on Facebook. We have it on podcasts, all the Stitchers, all the different pod, iTunes, all that. We have YouTube channel. It gets watched. We get all kinds of watches on YouTube. And what happens is now people call me up boards that I could never get to, and they go, can you come down and do this? And I go down as a condo coach. And then when they figure out who I am, they go, well, you know, we hate your company, but holy smokes, you did a good job for us. Could you help us? I'm going down to a big plus 55 community. They've invited me to come in and do a vision program for 200 boards. 200 boards. In our business, to get a meeting with the board's hard. I'm going to have 200 boards for a day, and I'm up there as the coach. You don't think there's some love going to happen? So the Trojan Horse is really, think of what your Trojan Horse is. And with that, if you have any questions, we're really close on time, but I'm here for as long as Chris will let me help you or whatever.
Dean, before that, we got to give this man a round of applause. That was amazing.
This is a presumptuous question. A presumptuous question. Did I get my mission of one idea? Yes. Okay, thanks.
When you were doing the mirror, this thing, Lorraine looks at me. She goes, I'm going to get you one. I said, I'm going to get you one. So we just had one up at each other. But anyways, we're going to have fun with that. We're going to take 3 questions. So raise your hand if you have a question. This is a rare occasion. As you guys know, usually it's interview. If you'd like to ask Dean a question, this is a man that has seen a lot of different businesses and taken them to the top. So raise your hand and I'll come around if you have a question.
Share one thing real quick about, as you ask questions. That first slide, you remember the first slide with all the logos? People always tell me, they go, you don't know our business. I said, be very careful. I was probably in it.
I've seen, we had once, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a guy that was a Shark Tank business. And he came up after you, he goes, oh, my segment's so small. And it was like $1 billion segment. He only had $1 million. You're like, you have enough to grow. And it was interesting watching the interaction.
Yeah.
While you guys are thinking of a question, a statement of fact, Dean, I was once connecting with a gentleman that was in the IT field, managed services. And it never looked like he was working. So one day I said to him, what the heck are you doing? And he said, I actually hang out with all my competitors. I go, why? He goes, because many of the bigger competitors in our space do not take what we service. So I go hang out with them all day long. It looks like I'm not working. But then since they like me and I'm their best friend, I get every single lead that they advertise. And that business has grown quite, now they're more focused. But at the time, they just grew by leaps and bounds by this one salesman hanging out with every other firm that was spending advertising money.
Yeah.
And he was getting all the low-hanging fruit that his firm wanted because they were hungry. They want to grow.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a couple questions. Doug, I'll come to you first and Forbes second. Go ahead, stand up.
All right. Hey, Dean, how you doing? With all the business experience you have, what do you think the next disruptive technology will be?
You know, the one thing I've not been good at is disruptive technologies. I stay very current with technologies. I think if you have not deployed social media to its extent today, you're missing something. And I'll talk to people, I meet CEOs, and they go, we got our marketing people, and they know it. And I go meet the marketing people, and guess what? They don't know it. What you thought today changes tomorrow. And there's so many things you can do with Facebook Live, with all the different sources, and you really need to pay attention to that. That's the biggest thing I'm seeing right now that's disruptive for common businesses.
All right, Forbes.
First of all, thank you for coming out of retirement 4 times, because that was some of the best nuggets I've ever heard. You deal
Thank you
with
for coming.
You're very welcome. You deal with a lot of big companies. What advice would you give to somebody who's a solopreneur? I see so many entrepreneurs who are on their own. They're not at that level. What do you tell them?
I'm going to share that because I have 5 sons. One of my son is an entrepreneur, and I share, well, 2 of them, and I share with them. The biggest thing you have to do is make sure you're not working in the business, you're working on the business. It doesn't mean you don't deliver when you have to or whatever, but most people start micromanaging, and most of the inhibitors to growth in 99% of the companies I go into is the owner. I mean, yeah, I tell them, get out of the way. Get somebody, either get like this kind of stuff where you get coaching, or get a executive coach, or join a Vistage group or something. But if you want to grow, start looking at those 3 circles. And if you're sitting there rounding error in those 3 circles, then quit talking about what your challenges are, and then work on getting greater penetration in that 2nd circle.
Okay, last question in the back. Go ahead, say your name. Stand up.
Oh, hi, everybody. It's Sharina. If you don't mind, I would like to kind of give you a little feedback because I'm in that position. One of the things that I really discovered was if I jotted down all of my tasks, everything that I do on my everyday, day to day, I record it. I record everything I do on my computer. I record all my tasks. I record everything. So the moment that I'm ready to focus on the next step, whether it's financial, whether it's marketing, whether it's logistics, shipping, or whatever, I can employ either a VA or I can employ another person and I already have the training. So I'm not spending my time training my VAs. I'm not spending my time training any new employees. I record all of my systems and processes so that I can just hand it. If they have any questions after they already looked at all of my videos, all of my spreadsheets that I laid out, and make it plain and simple, like layman's terms, so that you're duplicating yourself. So anyways, that's all I wanted to say. I don't have a question.
No, that actually is a great point. One of the things with Ideal Image, and I've done a number of companies, I got 2 right now that are wanting to scale, and the biggest thing is taking what I call the secret way we cook it and being able to replicate it across the United States. And, Ideal Image did it. I was CEO of a company called Lifestyle Lift, and we had 20% market share for the facelift business across the United States. And the doctor, I did not get that purchase, so I did not complete my whole deal, but I was CEO there for a year and learned we had replicable, I don't know the word, but we could repeat what we had. And what happened is they had a great experience. And, you can do that when you systematize and you start documenting. Absolutely, good point.
It's going to take tremendous time. Like, I think that's what I'm spending a lot of my time doing now. But even with the sales process, like, I learned something, those nuggets, like you said, those process of how I sell, I'm a tremendous salesperson, but trying to teach somebody else to be a salesperson is very hard. So if I record that and record me doing his new process, somebody else can just come in and just hammer it out.
And that speaks
There's
to...
a book out there, Jeffrey Gitomer's book, The Sales Bible.
Yep.
That's one of my
And that speaks to
favorite.
millennials recording in real time.
Yeah.
One of the this is an interesting fun fact. When I started doing trainings 9 years ago, before that there was another gentleman in the real estate investment niche that would do trainings. Bonnie knows what I'm talking about. And he would throw people out of his room if they recorded the training with their phone. I quickly surmised, like, how are you going to stop that with the advent of technology? But I remember how that whole recording, the open, like, everything is in real time. There's Facebook Live going on. So it's just, we've really, information travels so fast.
Oh, don't you get a kick going to a concert and the first thing you go, no recording devices tonight. And then you can't even hardly see the stage because of all the bright lights of the iPhones.
Or their glasses could be, you don't know what it is. So this is something I want to show you guys, and then we're going to do a group shot. But this is to understand how current Dean is. Like, you saw the examples, but I grabbed some slides. The condo coaches, we're going to have him at PodFest teaching this case study. We have a business track. But he created this, condo coaches. This is their podcast. It's up on iTunes, on Stitcher, and SoundCloud. He's got the videos on YouTube, so then it's all tagged properly. He's got, you got to listen to some of the episodes. He's got a really great radio guy that does the interviews that keeps you engaged. And then he has people submitting their pain points on the boards. So
they send me their financials.
Yeah, they're sending them
more
stuff.
Trusted advisor. I'm like Trojan Horse on.
So I'm listening. So one of the episodes I happened on, they were talking about painting, and you're like, painting? But in a condo association, they will kill each other if it's the wrong shade of white because it's got to be approved, right? So think about just the pain and the frustration. And they start talking about painting the different shades. But I have to tell you, it's entertaining first and foremost, which is great. It's not like, let me bore you to death with information. And he's the head condo coach. So it's really funny. Dean's up there like, I got a great story. And they're inviting him in front of all these associations. And I had a friend that used to specialize in defending people that had been wrongly accused. You know how they get in fights with the associations. You can't ask for a better place where people have problems. I mean, HOA, try and get people to agree on, in your own household, you can't agree on something. Imagine you have 100 people living in your association. Okay. But he has where they get their question. Let me just go through this real quick. Get your question answered on the air. So now the radio guy's answering questions, and they're listening, and it's like really interesting stuff. They have articles, so then they take stuff and repurpose it. I'm sure the experts give them articles that they publish. They had a guy from California. He's like, are you guys out in California? They're
we get them from all over the country.
All over the country. And Dean's like, well, we're here. That's why we're going to help you, but we do a lot in Florida. They have the articles. Then they have a female avatar, download the most no-cost coaching playbook.
So let me give you a stat. Since November last year, we've given out over 5,000 hard copies of these playbooks. And we've had tens of thousands of downloads.
And he targets, not only does he have it on all these platforms, because some of them you'd be like, oh, okay, maybe there's 40, 50 downloads on YouTube, but he's targeting them on Facebook. So I see the ads pop up. If you visit it, they have thousands on some of these things where people are listening through the whole show because it's a pain point that they're suffering. So he has a radio, podcast. And then what was interesting, when you see a site, he's got people 5 stars, giving them 5 stars reviews on their content. It's just very well done. And what I like is you have the avatars. So you could, it's general, condo coaches.
I don't look like that?
Well, this is, and you guys, and what's really good, and this is something you have to understand, they are a trusted resource, because then I looked up this link that you guys gave, and it is like the nonprofit that helps people with legislation when they have issues. It's not theirs, right? It's not yours. Because I was like, I wonder if this is theirs. No, it's a third-party nonprofit, so they really do care about the client. I know most people, but most people would have their own website, try and get them on the back end. It's really well done. So
thank you. This is funny. I have an orange jacket that I bought in Ybor City at a pimp shop, and I have the whole suit. My wife won't let me wear the pants out with the jacket. But this orange jacket, I was in Miami at a little restaurant, a very little restaurant. And forget your party affiliations and all that right now. I was at this little restaurant. And I had my orange jacket on because I was going to a speaking engagement looking all oranged up. And this gentleman walked in, and he sat down next to me. And I obviously knew who he was, but he sat down, and he looked at me. He kept looking over, and he finally said, "What's with the orange jacket?" So I moved over to his table, and he and I had a cup of coffee, and I was telling him how we're a group of volunteers I've assembled across the state. I have hundreds of volunteers, and we go in and help condo boards and condo owners with problems they have with no agenda to ever sell them. He looked at me, and he goes, "That is awesome and unheard of." And he said, "Could I get a picture with you?" This is him asking for a picture from me. Some of you are too young, but who is that? Yeah.
Who is it, Bruce?
Looks like Jesse Jackson.
Yeah. It was Jesse Jackson at a little restaurant, and he got turned on by the condo coaches. Now, I forget your political affiliations and stuff, because I really don't. That's a whole other subject. But at the end of the day, that was so cool that he came up, and first off, he wondered why I have an orange jacket. But when I shared with him the story, he was like blown away. And I don't have very many male followers, but I got a lot of women around the state that text me and email me and call me. They call me coach. I show up, and it's like stupid silly. But it's a lot of fun. It's made an impact on our business, and it's our Trojan Horse. Thank you.
Guys, let's give Dean Akers another round of applause. We had We had one of the head trainers for Tony Robbins. He had to go. He had a meeting. He said, "This guy's amazing." And so Scott was all jazzed. He was like, "Where'd you find him?" I go, "Dean Akers is one of the most well-received speakers." What I'd like to do is if we get the members up so we could take a picture with Dean. For those of you who want to thank Dean after we take the picture, make sure to hang out. And then for those of you who want to learn more about Tampa Bay business owners or want to sign up for some of our events, Lorraine Trula in the back is waving. Make sure to see her after.
Here's some
Dean's got
mirrors.
some $5 mirrors. Come on up, guys. Dean's going to...